Don't speak what you don't understand. The truth is not in your command. Don't shout about what you think is fake. The decision isn't yours to make. Don't lie about the way things are. Tall tales will take you very far. Don't scoff when they say.
Hey everyone, it's Marianne from the New York City Organization of Public Service Retirees. Today is Friday and it's September 26th, and tonight is our Friday Night Live. I'm going to do two things today. I have a guest that I want to introduce you to. His name is Scott Cohen, and he's from Nassau County Retirees. They are still in a very similar battle like we are, and we've been working together with them for a while. But he has some information that he wants to share with you about how we can help him and their retirees, as many of their retirees are also in our organization as well. So we want to give them that time. Scott then is going to leave, and we are going to get into the New York City NYCE PPO plan, because we've got so much more to keep updating you on and talk about. And of course, I guess we're now starting another episode of Debunking Bullshit. So being true to form, right? So for now, I just want to introduce you guys to, oops, I just lost Scott. And I don't know where he went. Give me 1 second. I'm hoping he will come back in. Oh, there you are. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Fantastic.
Okay, perfect. So everyone, this is Scott Cohen from Nassau Retirees Legal Fund. We have a lot of things in common. He's been in our group for a while. You know Gene too. Gene's been in our group and advocating for retiree healthcare. So tell us your updates.
So first off, thank you everyone for letting me take some time out of your Friday night and out of the show. So our court case is over at this time based on an ultimatum that was given to us by the judge. Basically said if we don't withdraw our complaint, they were going to deny it, and it would be with prejudice, meaning we would not be able to come to court if they did this again, which we did, and here we are. So our fight has really gone political, and I want to say that, but I want to preface it with, although the fight has turned to a political fight, this is not about politics. This is not about party in any way. Doesn't matter if you're an independent, a Republican, a Democrat. Our fight is to keep our health insurance and not have a reduction in benefits. And we will align ourselves with whatever politicians from any party that are willing to stand up for us. In our case, the Republicans really have not been very helpful. They offered us support, then ghosted us for like several weeks, and then finally told me, they're not going to give us to us in writing, that if I want, I could trust them, but I don't trust anybody in politics. And the Democrats, granted, it's an election year and they're all looking for support, but whether it's their incumbents or their candidates, they've all come forward in writing. What we need from the New York City retirees, and this is really important, it is specific to the New York City retirees that are registered voters and live in Nassau County, as well as their family and friends who are registered voters and live in Nassau County. We need your help. We need to make sure that Bruce Blakeman does not win re-election. And again, this is not about politics. Bruce, through the county attorney himself in May, told us in court that the active employees are only guaranteed to remain on their Empire Plan health insurance through 2025, and whatever he does with them, he's going to do to the retirees again, which would essentially wind us back in court. We don't want to do that. Further, they kept telling us that they were going to put us in some type of a comparable plan. Comparable is very vague. It's subjective. We, as a matter of fact, spent about $600,000 and almost 2 years in court fighting to prove that the Excelsior plan that they were trying to put us on was not comparable to the Empire plan where we were. And we proved that. So we already know they can't be trusted. And when the county attorney, at direction of the judge, recalled the county executive to get permission to use the word not diminish, the county executive said no. The word is comparable. So it's very important that we make sure that Bruce Blakeman does not win because he's going to come after us again. With that said, if you would visit our website, which is Nassau Retirees LegalFund.org, on there you'll see letters of support that we've received from AARP, RPEA, congressmen, state senators, state assemblymen, local politicians, as well as our endorsements, which we have made in the Nassau County election. At the top right, there's also an election guide, which you could follow. But we really need you guys to, again, visit Nassau Retirees LegalFund.org. We really need your support. Early voting starts October 25th, so it's 4 weeks from today. And you guys have big numbers, and I know you're with us as we are with you guys in your fight. And that's it. I don't know if anybody has any questions, or I can answer for anybody.
You can see on the side of your screen, you'll see questions on the side. But you're on your laptop. You're on your cell phone, so you probably don't see it.
Yeah.
I don't see any questions here for you. Laura says it's so sad we can't trust politicians. We hear you, Scott. So you have some support. Camille says she lives in Nassau County. She would never vote for Blakeman for a lot of reasons. Thank you, Camille. Now get 10 of your friends to say the same thing.
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, I have said to every single politician in Nassau County, most of them to their faces, I've called them cowards. I said, what is the incentive for me to vote for you as a constituent, and for anybody who lives in Nassau County to vote for any politician who is putting party over the people? What's going on here is morally and ethically and legally wrong, and they'll admit it, but they don't want to lose their job as a politician because they did the right thing. And I said, that's cowardice. I said, wouldn't you rather go out in a ball of flames as a hero than stay there and be voted out as a coward? And I do stand by that.
Detta says she will not vote for Blakeman either.
Right.
Detta says, thank you. Thank you and the board for all you do. It's very much appreciated. I will look at Nassau County Retirees. I am in Woodmere. So you do have a lot of people here. And if you draft a flyer or put something together, we can email that out for you to our members.
I will definitely I will definitely take care of that during the week. I'll send you something, and we'll get it going. It's like I said, it's going to be a really short-term project. It's only 4 weeks, and anybody who gets out, once October 25th comes, you check your little box and put it in the machine, and your job is done. Unfortunately for us, I think I have like about 8 people that live in New York City. But they are definitely with you. And if you have any communications for them, the same, you send it to me, and we're happy to direct it to those people.
Okay, great. That sounds fantastic. Sorry you two are going through all of this mess, but as we're moving into an election season, now's the time to let them know that if they're not going to be supporting us and protecting retiree benefits, and for some reason they are misinformed and think that we are still in unions, that they could make those changes. Well, they got something else coming to them. They need to be unsat, and that's what we need to do to get rid of them.
Yeah. I don't get it. I had a meeting several weeks ago with the presiding officer and the deputy presiding officer of the Nassau County Legislature, and they told me, obviously not in writing, they won't put it, but they told me, look, that the NRLF has proven to them that they made a mistake and retirees by law cannot be included with the actives. And yet the county executive is saying he doesn't care and he's going to do it anyways. And the Republican legislature is just, they're kowtowing to the party. Back in 1994, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the Nassau County Board of Supervisors was unconstitutional, and the reason was that the board was appointed by the county executive, and he filled it with people who were going to vote the way he wanted. And so in 1996, the Nassau board went away, and it became the Nassau County Legislature. And like any form of government, there has to be separation between the different fractions of government. Otherwise, there's no oversight. And what the Republican legislature has done in this particular instance, and it's happened when the Democrats are in charge on both sides too. No one party is innocent of this, but they follow the lead. As a matter of fact, if you Google what is the job of the Nassau County presiding officer, one of the responses that comes up is that he answers to the will of the county executive, which is, again, it's wrong. He's in charge. He's the top person in the legislature, and they're two completely separate things. And the politicians, whether they ignore it or they don't actually understand their own jobs, very, very frustrating.
You have Scott says that he's a Nassau retired NYPD here. No to Blakeman.
Yeah, thank you.
Long Beach says, doesn't Nassau have the financial control board over Bruce?
All right. NYFA is a lot like a lion with no claws and teeth. They don't really have a lot of enforcement, and I'll give you an example of how Blakeman got around this.
Okay.
During the original contract negotiations between the actives and the county, there was a labor attorney. Many of you probably know the name Gary DeLaverson. He was the labor attorney. He was under contract by NYFA, which is the Nassau Interim Finance Authority, which is what this gentleman is talking about, the oversight board, which is a state appointed board. While he was in the room under contract being paid by NYFA with the sole responsibility of being an independent watchdog looking out for NYFA's best interest, somehow at the same time, he was sitting in the chief negotiator's seat for the county. Morally, ethically wrong, probably illegal in some fashion, because he could put whatever he wants in the contract and just go back to NYFA and say, hey, this is sound, and NYFA is going to take his word for it because they're paying him $25,000 a month for this job. So in the meantime, it goes to round 2 of the negotiations. Now, Gary is no longer under contract for NYFA, and Bruce has a negotiation coming up in 2 weeks and wants Gary back in the chief negotiator seat. So Bruce goes to NYFA and says, I need money. I need approval to pay these guys. And NYFA says, you have 180 county attorneys. If none of them are qualified and you need outside counsel, fire some of them, because they're all almost all of them are political appointees. Fire them, and then use that money to pay for Gary DeLaverson. Well, they didn't like that. Bruce never went to the legislature to get their approval because 2 weeks is just not enough time for that. And he probably would have gotten denied anyways. But meanwhile, Gary, come the negotiation 2 weeks later, is sitting in the seat. And it comes to be that the law firm, the outside counsel that was under contract with Blakeman, paid DeLaverson to be in that room. Now, we assume that this firm just took the money they paid DeLaverson and just tacked it onto Blakeman's open contract. But so even with the oversight board, doesn't really matter.
And that's interesting because Joe says he picks this up quite clear. We have the opposite problem. It's the Democrats who hold the majority in the city council are holding up our bill, Intro 1096, and it's the Republicans who are supporting us. Nassau County, I believe, is predominantly Republican still. And this is why you and I always say this isn't about politics. This is about special interests trying to control the issue. And it was the AFL-CIO that killed our state bill that would have protected you guys as well.
Yeah. And we worked with you on this, we've discussed it many times, and it's just really, it's outrageous. And, in Nassau, it gets even a little bit odder because although Bruce is the elected county official, he is not the person who is running the day-to-day operations of Nassau County. That person is the chief deputy county executive, who is a political appointee, and he runs the day-to-day. Bruce is just a well-polished, well-dressed figurehead, so to speak.
You can't
Exactly.
make this up.
No,
you really can't.
And the longer it goes on, the deeper it goes.
This is just insane.
Yeah. But if there's any other questions,
this is just way wrong. Yeah. I know you got to go because you've got a game tonight, but I don't see. Judy says in Suffolk, the Republicans voted yes 2 years in a row, but this isn't a Suffolk. In Suffolk, I don't know what this is.
I know Suffolk really has nothing to do with us.
Nassau has medieval civil service laws.
That
I'm
is
in
true.
Great Neck. It is a total horror. So many issues with him. Thank you, Alan. So you guys that live in Nassau, this is an easy ask of you. It's just about helping them get out their vote to make sure that Blakeman does not get reelected for these specific issues because he's not supporting retiree health care. And right. is going to start would take it back, would do exactly what he's doing now to take it back next year.
Right. And I will send you out a flyer next week that you could circulate amongst your people. But at any time, because we do update it fairly regularly, you could visit the website, Nassau Retirees LegalFund.org. On the top right, it's the election guide, or click more in the election guide. And all that information's on there. So our primary goal is to get Blakeman out of office. If that doesn't work, it's to flip the legislature control from Republican to Democrat so that Bruce essentially cannot get anything done unless it's a bipartisan issue, which, in my opinion, is the way it should be anyways. Nobody should have a blank check. But, please visit the site. Keep an eye out for the email that Marianne will send out to you guys. If you have any questions at all, you could submit something on our website. It'll come to us, or you could just email Nassau Retirees Nassau Retirees LegalFund@gmail.com, and myself or one of the other board members will respond to you.
And Mary says, I'll try again. Does Nassau County budget for healthcare costs for retirees?
It is part of the budget, although it is not really a negotiation. The way it works in Nassau County is when we retire, whatever contract is in place at the time of our retirement becomes vested with the retiree for life. So essentially, we're supposed to be untouchable. So whether our NYCE Empire plan costs them $1,000 or $50,000, it's not a negotiation. They just have to pay it. With that said, through attrition, people like myself, I'm not 65, so I still have a regular plan. But when I turn 65, my Empire, if it were to be this year, my Empire would go from a little over $40,000 to about $6,000 or $7,000. So through attrition, that's happening, and then we're retirees. Unfortunately, we don't live forever. We're at the back end of our lifespans, and we lose people every day. So that number for the county, whatever it is shrinking every year. Just for those reasons. But yes, it is added into the budget.
Long Beach says, I thought they could change companies as long as they get you the same benefits. I think that description of what is the same is the issue, right?
Right. So yes, for going back decades, there is a clause in our contract, and it essentially says the county has the right to change providers at any time. However, they may not reduce the benefit. And that in court was the big problem. The county wanted to use the word comparable in place of not reduce or not diminish. And, we're like, look, this is what's in decades worth of contract, even decades that Bruce personally signed. His name is on that. He agreed to it. And now all of a sudden, 20 years later, I don't have to pay attention to that.
We're playing semantics. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So yeah, Gene says equal or better.
Yes. We would obviously, like you guys, we would love to have better insurance for the same cost.
Yeah.
In today's day and age, not happening, but
I hear you. All right. Well, everyone, you got your homework there. If you're in Nassau County, start paying attention to that. Head on over to Scott's website. As soon as he sends us a flyer, I will be sure to send it out for you Nassau County voters, or for those who have family who are in Nassau County, to help spread the retiree mission in Nassau County. Thanks, Scott. I appreciate you popping on by.
All right. Thanks for giving me the time, everyone. And like I said, if you have any questions, please reach out to us. We're happy to talk.
All right. Take it easy, honey.
All right. Bye-bye. You too.
All right. So second half of our show, we are now going to go back to some of we don't really have too many other updates. Let me go into my email. So this half of the show, we're going to talk about the New York City NYCE PPO plan, which I have still no idea what the hell that NYCE stands for. I believe it stands for New York City Employees, which it really shouldn't say that because it covers employees and retirees. But that's a whole nother story. Let's see. Our fundraiser drive is up to $81,051. We're kind of getting closer, but we're still far away from 250. So now, active workers and non-Medicare retirees, this is going to affect you. So we are going to need you guys to pitch in and help us with this, because it does look like we will end up filing potentially for a request for a temporary restraining order in order to stop them from forcing this through if it does go through. So I'm asking you guys that are non-Medicare retirees who have not been supporting this organization to step up and support this organization. Okay, let's get into some questions here, because let me pull up an email again where we said we were going to get into a debunking bullshit episode, because of course United Federation of Teachers puts out some crazy ass garbage like they usually do. They're not all far off. It's not as horrible as some of them have been before, but still it's just inappropriate that they can get away with shit like this. They should really be trying to tell you the truth. And I'm also going to tell you a definition of a word that I learned today that would basically describe this in what it's doing. So let's see if I can. Oops, where did I lose? Here we are. Okay. Now I need to figure out how to get this in here. I want to share my screen. It just doesn't seem to want to let me do it. Oh, here we go. Okay. So I want to go into this document here. Okay. So those of you in UFT got this email today. Let me scroll back up so you know what I'm talking about. So it was for chapter leaders and delegates. And it says, as of today, we have the opportunity to protect and improve your premium-free healthcare. So let's just jump down to some of the points. Guaranteed premium-free coverage for 5 years. That no one has seen that in this agreement. And because we haven't seen the agreement, I can't tell you that. The people that we've spoken to also don't see anything in this agreement that it's guaranteed premium-free coverage. Now, you remember, every time that they've done stuff like this, what do you usually see? You usually see there's an MLC healthcare agreement, right? The MLC healthcare agreement is usually goes with the health benefit, any health benefit changes. However, we're not seeing a health benefit agreement. We're not seeing any of that. So we're wondering, why isn't there a health benefit agreement? Where is the information that says that this plan is premium free, that the copays will stay the same for 5 years? Where is all of that information? We're definitely not seeing this. But it has to be in this plan somewhere for the union leadership of the MLC to keep saying this. Michael Mulgrew and Henry Garrido right now are really the only two unions that keep putting this out. How do we know it's guaranteed premium free? Because this ASA agreement, this is an administrative services agreement. An ASA agreement is only between the City of New York and Emblem and United. They can't guarantee us that the plan would be premium free in that plan. There's an agreement somewhere. Where is it? So guaranteeing premium free for 5 years, unless you see another agreement and someone's shown that to you, it doesn't exist. No increases to existing copays. Remember, sleight of words. They like to play on language. No increases to existing copays. That doesn't mean that there's not going to be new copays. They're not saying this, and they're not proving it to you either. Thousands of additional providers, 1.6 million providers nationwide. And remember, they had to clarify their statement because that doesn't mean doctors. That will mean like physical therapists, nurse practitioners, phlebotomists. It doesn't mean doctors. We kind of caught them on saying that the first time when they first started coming out with that. All access to all major hospitals. See, I don't like this access either. This access to all major hospitals. This is another concern for me because, let me hit highlight, because yeah, you have access to them. It was like the same shit that they said to us in Medicare Advantage. You can see any doctor that accepts Medicare and Medicare Advantage. That is a lie. And I don't know if this is a lie or not, because they're not telling us they're not giving us the network. They're not giving us access to the networks to show that, yes, you guys can put all your hospitals in, no matter whether you live in New York or California or Idaho and Montana or in Texas or Arizona, exactly where if your doctors or hospitals are in this plan. I can't tell you that you have access to them, but you might be paying for them. And I can't tell you that without seeing the contract. 50% fewer prior authorizations. This is another thing that still bothers us because you don't know how many of those authorizations were on the CBP plan. We know that they told us, oh, don't worry, there's only 10. They showed us 10 in the Medicare Advantage plan. There ended up being lots of them. And it wasn't until we hit court that the judge put a temporary restraining order to stop those prior authorizations from coming through. So that's also another issue. We don't know what they're on. And we also caught them lying on another aspect where they said that there was no prior authorizations on orthopedic. However, there's hospitalization prior auths. If there's hospitalization prior auths, what if you're hospitalized for orthopedic surgeries? Then guess what? You're subject to prior authorization. All this was one without any givebacks. I don't know that either. They're not showing us any agreement. They're not telling us how this is copay. The copays aren't changing, how it's premium free for 5 years. We're still not seeing that. Of course, he wants to talk about these voices have no argument against the plan itself. Instead, they've resorted to procedural distractions. This isn't procedural distractions and fear mongering, because the last time they literally tried to kill us. We've been justified in our concern in what they're doing with this. So you want to get the record straight? Members haven't seen the plan. No, Michael, they still haven't seen the plan. And the people that did see the plan don't know what the hell they're looking for. And this is why. You have your UFT healthcare committee that allegedly passed this plan and passed it for supported this plan and passed it to the delegate assembly, which meets on Monday. On August 28th, they passed this plan and sent it to the delegate assembly. Michael, when did they see the redacted contract? September 17th. So you're basically telling us that this is a sham organization of people that don't know what the hell they're looking at because they basically supported this plan on a presentation without looking at the contract. After they voted on it on August 28th, you then gave them a contract to look at on the ASA agreement on September 17th. By that point, even if they had a concern or they knew what the hell that they were looking at, it was too late. They already voted yes for it. Isn't that a problem? I think it's a problem. So no one's seen the contract. The full benefit structure hasn't been posted to the website. You're not sharing all of the information. You're basically selling glitter and sprinkles, and you're begging people to support it. Okay. Self-funded plan puts members at risk. Let me tell you that there is still a possibility here. You're saying self-funded means exactly what we asked for. The city pays for everything, not our members. All right, let's get into this, because this is also a concern, since you want to get into details. All right, now, the benefits of having a self-funded plan means that the plan doesn't have to go through the Department of Financial Services, DFS. It doesn't. That means that anything that they want to do in designing this plan, they can, because there is no oversight. Now, another thing that we've heard was that, and I think that might be further down. Yeah, that's okay. So the second point, he says certain legally protected procedures won't be covered. False. All procedures required by the state and federal law will remain covered in this plan. Okay, that is also going to be an option. Why? So if the plan is not self-funded, if the plan doesn't have to go through DFS, then there is no oversight. The only ones that design what the plan will cover and what the costs will be is the city and the MLC. Now, we already know the city be willing to screw anybody. And we also know now today, the MLC will be willing to screw anybody. But when they say that anything that's covered, like all of the state mandates, like your in vitro fertilization or your gender affirming care or whatever those other state options are, would be covered, it's only covered as long as the city and the MLC want it covered. They can pick and choose in a self-funded plan what is covered. Some states don't cover the state mandates. And I've not yet seen anywhere in this agreement that says this plan, the NYCE PPO plan, will cover the state of New York mandates, because they could choose to pick the state of Iowa mandates. I've not seen what they're covering. And no one has that's seen this agreement, because we've asked people to look for that specific thing. The people that were given a chance to look at this contract, let's talk about that for a minute before I finish about self-funding. The people that were given an opportunity were union leaders in the MLC, and they were allowed to bring someone with them to look at it, but they only had about an hour on one day to look at it. Most of them weren't given time. They were told like on a Friday, I believe, and they had to see this on a Monday or a Tuesday. They weren't given time to clear their schedules. And why? Was the UFT Health Committee given this contract to show what, 80, 100 people were given this agreement to see on September 17th, when none of the other unions were given the contract to take back to their members or to their boards? This is not transparency. And this is what we've been fighting for, transparency. Because if there's nothing to hide, you wouldn't have had a problem with doing this. Let's go back to self-funding for a minute. So by having a self-funded plan, you have more flexibility in plan design in what you want that plan to look like, because it doesn't have to go through any approval. The only ones that decide what's covered in it is the city and the municipal labor committee. Right now, we're not in a self-funded plan. And I know, let me see if I could find that. Michael Mulgrew lied about that in 2023, that they were currently on a self-funded plan. You're not on a self-funded plan right now. GHI CBP is not self-funded. It's a minimum premium payment plan, MPP. That plan kind of similar to a self-funded plan, but not the same. So here's now where I'm going to teach you something else. What did Mulgrew say? Now, I don't know if you're going to be able to hear this, but I'm going to try, and then you're going to tell me if you can't hear it. This was a delegate assembly that took place in December of 2023, where Michael Mulgrew was preparing to talk about healthcare.
All right, go now. The hidden costs behind our self-insured health plan. People have to understand this. Okay, you have to understand this. We are a self-insured policy because we're so large.
No.
Okay?
No.
So when I say that, so right now, as a self-insured program, we are premium free. But is it cost free to us is the question. And this is why everyone online and everyone in this room needs to understand it. Our members keep saying, oh, doesn't matter to me. I don't pay. We have premium free health care. But every year, it's a self-insured program. Every year, everything we utilize comes back to us in one big bill. Okay? And it's not just us who pays for it. It's the MLC we drew through negotiations.
No.
This affects us when we're negotiating raises. People need to understand that. You might not be, the copay is this, that's it, I'm done, I can do this, it's easy. At the end of the day, it's our job to do everything in our power to try to keep these costs down and to really deal with the system we're stuck inside of at this moment. This is not easy stuff.
Okay. You're not in a self-funded plan right now. I hope you could hear that. You're not in a self-funded plan right now. Michael Mulgrew is not correct. And you're not on a self-funded plan because you're big. It has nothing to do with it. It has to be chosen. You have to choose to move from minimum premium payment to self-funding. When you are on a plan that, like a minimum premium payment plan, you're paying a tax to the a premium tax that goes to the state. It's like 1.75%. What does that mean? In the course of the $6 billion that the city spends on healthcare, you're paying about $100 and something million, $105 million in state tax. They're trying to stop having to pay that tax. Is that tax a savings? Yes, it's a savings. It's $100 million. Is it a lot of money? No. But they're using that towards their $1 billion that they committed to saving the city. Michael Mulgrew and the United Federation of Teachers, the MLCs, DC 37, they would not be in this situation if they kept promising givebacks. Saving money is a giveback, whether he wants to acknowledge that definition of that or not. With the minimum premium plan, you are paying a small tax. You are. And that's going to DFS because they have a job to do in making sure that they're reviewing all of these plans. That's their oversight. They have a job to do. Make sure that people that are in these insurance plans are not going to get killed by the insurance plans. Now, Mulgrew also says, let me go back to that email. Certainly I talked about that. Oh yeah, here's the next one. Emblem. So the addition of United Healthcare, UHC, means our claims will be denied. Fact, he says, Emblem will be handling all claims in the downstate 13 New York counties, and UHC will follow Emblem standards for claims elsewhere. We decided to work with UHC because they enabled us to access 1.6. Okay, now listen. Emblem and United cannot deny claims unless the city and the MLC tell them to. All they could do is follow directions of what they're instructed to do. One of the other things Mulgrew said is that in this plan, United Healthcare processes the claims. Well, in saying that, and like he's saying it here, United Healthcare processes these claims, it means diddly squat. They're only processing. They're only processing what they're being told to process. They can process every claim. What can they deny or approve? What the MLC says they can. Okay? Keep that in mind. They cannot make these decisions on their own. This is exactly what they're being told to do. You deny this, you deny that, you could approve that. They're only following instructions. Remember the copay case. The city tried to blame the copay case on the insurance company, on Emblem. And Emblem's lawyer stood in front of the court and said, we just didn't decide to impose copays. The city told us to impose copays. And we did. We followed what they told us to do. We can't make any decisions. And you know why? Because in the 1992 MLC Health Agreement, what does it say? The city and the unions in the MLC, doesn't say the MLC, the city and the unions in the MLC have to mutually agree upon any changes in healthcare. There you go. Another fable told by the United Federation of Teachers. So let's keep going because there's a few more, and I am not even looking at your questions yet. The biggest thing we've heard is this plan sounds too good to be true. Well, if it is good, you wouldn't mind sharing with us and stop keeping shit secret. Okay. You didn't stand up to it. Yeah, so we're supposed to believe that you actually stood up to the healthcare industry and bullied them and said, you're going to do this because I'm telling you to do it. Yeah, okay, that's not really working for me. Okay, so let's go on. He also says that United Healthcare only is processing the claims. That doesn't mean anything. United Healthcare is not on the hook for any of this, right? He's saying that this can't happen. That's not true. United Healthcare isn't on the hook. They have absolutely really no risk at all. They might be putting up some of their fees, like their ASO fees on this, but they have nothing to lose other than a small portion of their fees if they gambled those, right? Who's on the hook for anything that doesn't come to fruition? The city, right? So in this case, right now, the city has a minimum premium payment program. In that agreement, the city sets aside some cash and they say, we're going to pay the premiums we're going to pay the cost of healthcare out of this. And if it goes over that, then there's a problem. But the city hasn't been going over that. The city has been paying for the cost of healthcare the way it's supposed to. The money that they put aside, they pay a small tax to DFS, they pay the ASO fees, and the plan is administered by the healthcare programs, and they're funding the bills. There's been no issue. They haven't gone over what they've been put aside. Now, he also said that the changes to the plan have been agreed upon. What changes to the plan have been agreed upon? Can the changes to the plan be changed? Can any changes be made to this plan outside of their agreement? The answer is no, right? According to what Mulgrew says and Henry says, that the MLC has to agree to any changes in the plan. But if they approve this agreement next week, they did, and they will, and they do. And what does that mean? Okay. So there is certain language in this agreement right now that people were able to see, and they probably didn't understand it. The language says that there are certain network provider agreements that contain language that may conflict with the design of this plan, and that they would be making changes to the plan in order to make sure that those missions, their desires, their goals would be met. Now, would that mean they would just create another tier? Because they've intimated that there will be tiers or could be tiers in the future, just not in 2026. They said that there's copays on current copays would not go up. That doesn't mean that they're not going to implement new copays. They're not saying that either. Do you understand the sleight of language? Certain network provider agreements may conflict with language, contain language that may conflict with the agreement, and that they are able to make changes to the plan to potentially meet those goals that they are desired to meet, that $1 billion in savings. What would they be doing? And now I'm already telling you, the city is at risk in this kind of a plan, right? If the benchmarks of what they're trying to meet aren't met and the costs are higher than what the city plans, the city is at risk. And so are you and I, who are on this non-Medicare plan, and the active workers, right? Because if the city is at risk, they're not going to want to eat that. They're going to want their money back in some way. That means you, the beneficiary of this plan, will probably end up paying. Let's see. Who bears the risk? Well, Emblem and United Healthcare have promised the moon, basically. And if they can't provide what they've promised, what's going to happen? It's going to come out of someone's pocket. And of course, they're going to end up raising costs somewhere, creating different tiers, creating different levels of copays. And they're not saying that's not happening. And they're also not showing you any agreement that says it's not going to happen either. So I want you to understand that. By the MLC signing this agreement, that they are agreeing to the plan being changed in this contract. The city will make changes with hospitals who are bad actors. That's what they've said. They will make changes for hospitals that are bad actors. Michael Mulgrew said that himself. What does that mean? Tiering and copays. Come on, guys. They agreed to make changes to meet what they agreed to. You are approving this now. Michael Mulgrew is making you think that they have to come back to you, the members or the principals, the heads of the unions, to change this plan. No, they're agreeing to it in the language in that one clause, even though they've blacked out so many pages in this contract that they don't want us to see. But you're basically doing it now. So I want to tell you that I think those numbers are basically bullshit, but I also want to tell you the new word that describes this that I was taught today. The word is called dissemble, dissemble, dissemble or dissembling. And it says to conceal one's true motives, feelings, or belief. An honest, sincere person has no need to dissemble. So they're disguising something. The MLC health agreement is buried in the blacked out parts of this ASA agreement. Look, guys, this could be a great plan. It really could be. It has potential to be. But the mere fact that they've betrayed our trust time and time again, betrayed the other union leaders, didn't invite all the unions that are in the city, only the ones that were MLC members, and only gave them 1 day between 10 and 3 to look at this contract. And they couldn't bring their lawyers and they couldn't bring their boards and they didn't give to. And then the ultimate smack in the face is that Michael Mulgrew brought this contract to his health committee of 80, 100 people almost a month after they voted on it to look at it. They're not health policy experts. They're not health people. They don't even understand what the hell that they were looking for. They literally approved this plan on a ridiculous slide presentation with no real facts behind it. They could have given them the information. We want to get behind a plan like this because it would provide healthcare access to people that live across the country, which has been long overdue and we've been bitching about for decades, right? You've been hearing me talk about this for a really long time, especially for those of us first responders don't have the World Trade Center program working. We need to be able to access our doctors. Maybe one spouse might be on Medicare. You have a younger spouse, younger dependents, children and you live in another state. They don't have access to healthcare. You're paying out the nose now, or you're waiting to get care until you can go to New York or Florida. That shouldn't be that way. Even the Florida retirees are complaining that they don't have enough doctors in the Emblem plan. This could be a game changer. All what everyone's been asking for is that they provide the transparency and the information that we've been asking for. And the same questions, we've had a lot of unions contact us and say, hey, listen, we saw your email. We didn't want to contact you right away, but we have the same questions. Thank you for asking them because you're getting people talking. Some of them, of course, are going, oh, that Marianne, blah, 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 blah. Well, okay, that's fine. And I asked someone joked the other day, I'm known as the Marianne factor. Absolutely. But you know what? Someone has to be the adult in the room because they aren't. All right. Now, let me see if I could scroll back and look at your million questions and see what you got. Oh, that was another thing. One of the guys said to me, what is the steering committee meeting on Monday? So I already told you guys the steering committee is the people on that blue column in the MLC letterhead, right? Those people have a meeting. They're the steering committee. They're like your board, like say, right? So those people on Monday have to choose whether they're going to vote supporting this, they're going to vote to table it, or they're going to vote to turn it down. They don't have to send it to their job has been described to them as you have to take this plan and approve it and send it to the general membership of the Municipal Labor Committee. They don't have to do that. They have the power to say no. Here's another problem. Some of the RTC people really irked the crap out of me. The retired teacher chapter people got elected with the support of the retirees of this organization to protect their health care. They went into that United Federation of Teachers Healthcare Committee, and they voted on a contract that they had no right voting on. They didn't even look at it. They only responded to a presentation. Most of them, actually, I think all 4 of them that went were on Medicare. They have no idea what this agreement would do. They didn't really even care, it appears. The chapter leader didn't show up. He was still on vacation, and a couple of days later, he was in New York City marching on the Labor Day parade. If you really cared about this plan, and you really cared about what was going to happen to non-Medicare retirees, then you would have got your ass at that meeting and you would have contacted us about what was happening, because we would have told you beforehand. And this is why when people ask me, why are you not having a relationship with these people? That's because they're not communicating with us. They think they know everything, and they went and voted on a plan that they don't even know what it's about. They don't understand. They're only taking for granted what they're being told, and they're not looking into the details. They still don't know the network. They don't know the prior authorizations. They don't know who's in the network, who's not, how many doctors or how many providers, how many different medical providers are in each state. Are truly all of the hospitals? Did you even get a sampling of the prior authorization list or the network of providers? No. Do you know what's going to happen if the benchmarks agreed to save the $1 billion aren't met? What's going to happen? Why is there so much redacted? Where is the agreement between the city and the MLC unions that says this plan is premium free for 5 years, that copays won't go up for 5 years? Where's that? And when those questions were asked of the RTC leadership, they had no answers. And the answers that they did give to the questions that we put out to the union leadership had nothing to support them. Understand something. You have the people that have put us through this, the municipal labor leadership and the city of New York, have betrayed our trust completely. We have no reason to take them at their word on anything. Now, you want us to be on your side and support you in this. We want to. However, provide us with the facts. Any news with Wanda Williams? So we've been speaking with them, Serena Mia, but there's a lot of things that we're not sure we're in agreement with, but we're still having conversations. We're hoping that we can get more on the same page in the next week, but give us a little bit more time. It's still too soon. Jim Walden endorsed Cuomo. Do we have any endorsement yet? No, Janice, and I wouldn't expect that to come until another couple weeks. All he's doing is getting arrested. I posted on his page, asked him why he won't talk to us. Also, yeah, I'm not getting any calls back from Justin, and I'm not getting any calls back from Brad Lander. And I did forget to get you I would just say, go to the comptroller's website and just start emailing. Noreen, I just signed up as a member and added a $50 donation. I'm an active UFT, and I know all the work you and this group have done and will do, and I will be joining in a few years, so I'm helping now. Noreen, I'm assuming you are a UFT RN. I absolutely love this post. Thank you so much for supporting what we're doing. I appreciate you making that statement, and I appreciate your support. Thank you. Now get your colleagues to come on board too. We could truly be a force to be reckoned with some of the active workers. Thank you. Is this same PPO is being offered to the NYPD? So Carol, this is a citywide plan. It goes to every single employee and non-Medicare retiree. Yes, Camille. Thank you, Noreen. Look at the love Noreen has. This is beautiful. If they can't show us the beef, the new health plan is null and void. Well, that's going to take them to vote, right? Marianne, thank you for debunking unity shit. Anytime, my dear, anytime. No, Wanda said she's in touch with us. Yes, she is in touch with us. We've been speaking. I know Wanda for a while. Justin voted for $500,000 for neutering feral cats in New York City. Guess that. And the Pet Protection for Guinea Pigs says all about how he believes in retiree healthcare to be. He is on our bill, but he hasn't really done anything to stay in touch with us. And I've tried. I literally left him a message, I think yesterday or today. Still nothing. And I called again the other day. Nothing. Let's see. Did they spell out the acronym? No. That's why it just says NYCE. I don't even know. No one the hell knows what that means. And why would you call it New York City Employees Plan when they're also employees and retirees? You're not employees. It still tells you you're not important to them. We're a non-entity. I remember standing with you all at multiple protests at Gracie Mansion, City Council. I'm passing this out to all. Maybe the new plan is for actives. No Long Beach, it's for active workers and non-Medicare retirees. Trust me when I tell you this. I'm voting for you for mayor. Well, I'll tell you, you guys didn't know who to vote for council in 2021. And I took like a handful of votes in just like 36 of 51 districts in city council election in like 2021. It was very funny. We'll get there. Just give me a few more weeks on this. You have more time on this election. You have more time. Just wait. Just wait. Guys, give the link to the in-service to understand how UFT Unity Mulgrew operates. This can be a lesson for the in-service lesson to vote Mulgrew out in the next election, which, you know, I wish you guys were able to get him out this time, but if we go to court for this new plan, does 12-126 come into play since stabilization fund is gone? So Judy, that's a possibility. How about a vote of no confidence? You'd have to ask the people in the union to do that because you can't do it as retirees. Unless, of course, the RTC would like to get off their ass and do something. That's a whole nother conversation. But you'd have to take that up with Bennett, Long Beach, if you're UFT. Let's see. Did Mulgrew major in literature masters? No, I think he taught shop. That's all I could tell you. Tried to contact Brad Lander, only a contact form. And I think that's what we had the last time. I don't think we have emails, but I'll go back and look and find something. Does the New York State no surprise medical bills apply to self-funded plans? You know, I don't know if that's the case, but I will ask. I will get back to you on that, Ellen. The city is starting to notify managers and the unions are starting to be notified. Of what, Judy? What are they notifying managers and the unions of? Mulgrew says hospitals won't be tiered. What's he been smoking? Well, he doesn't want you to think that there's tiering now, but there will be tiering. There's going to be tiering. If I was a betting woman, I would tell you it's coming. And I believe there's tiering now. It's the way it's being described. One tier, no copays, ACPNY clinics and HHC clinics, health and hospitals. That's a zero copay. The next one is all copays. And then the next one is out of network. How is that not tiering? Right now, you have two tiers are in network. They've created, again, a network within a network. So it's kind of like operating like an HMO. Will Mulgrew have this insurance? Yes. However, when he retires, like I told you, he's making like $500,000. He doesn't need you. He doesn't need this healthcare plan. He can purchase whatever he needs or pay for whatever he needs. He's been making this kind of salary for a really long time. And I also don't know what insurance the United Federation of Teachers offers his employees. Now, you know, he gets a second pension. He gets his city pension and he gets a union pension. He's not going to have a problem, Camille. And I don't know what the city, what the union plan he has, what the union plan he has is. The city has a contractual responsibility to provide health care to all retirees and their dependents, which must be able to go to all 50 states. Well, that's it. Are you telling me that that's in writing somewhere? I want to see where you saw that. If you have that, please send that to my attention, like urgently, because I've not ever seen something that says that. Now, 12-126 says the city will provide will pay for the full cost of healthcare coverage up to the HIP HMO for every employee, retiree, and their dependent. But for decades, they've not been doing that. So I want to see where you're saying that that they're saying that. So please provide that to me, please. Marianne Berto, would you like to help us get a letter of support for 1096 from Staten Island? I'm getting close. If you're interested, let's discuss. Annie, yes, that's a great idea. Please connect with Marianne, and if you need help, call me. I'll connect you both. It's in the contract that when you retire, you can move. Judy, where are you seeing this? If you haven't seen this agreement, I need to see where you're saying that was where you saw that. Where did you see this? Yes, I do, John. Someone has to. They are so arrogant. They think meaning actors and retirees can't stop the train. Yeah, well, it might be a possibility, Serena Mia. We're going to see what the unions do next week. I'm going to say this, the unions like stupid people because they don't ask questions. Aside from ramming the New York City PPO, the serious omissions questions, and us not seeing the fine print, Unity scheduled a special DA vote for Monday, one of the longer school days of the week that requires actives to get approvals by their principals for early release. Many principals weren't aware of this DA, even though Unity said they'd notify in advance. And lots of delegates have been closed out from attending in person because the Schenker Hall is filled at capacity. So that's all really great questions, statements for you to be sharing. You're absolutely right. We've been told that this has been exactly a problem, that they overfilled. They didn't notify everybody because they wanted to fill the DA room with Unity supporters to get Michael Mogul's mission across. So those are the people that filled up the room up to capacity. Now, they also said you can attend the meeting by telephone, not by Zoom. So now you're dialing in to a meeting. That's a train wreck. And this is what they do in situations like this. This is not transparent. If they're trying to make access impossible, that's what they're succeeding at doing. So now you're not in the room. You're not being able to see anything because you're on a phone. And then you have to follow the phone prompts in order to speak. That's if they let you speak. And of course, they're going to fill all of this up with Unity people so that the DA rubber stamps it exactly like the health committee rubber stamped this program on August 28th without ever seeing the contract. You want to talk about a no faith petition, a vote of no confidence? That's exactly what it stems from, because that's exactly what they did. They voted on that without even seeing it, and then he's going to have it rubber stamped through his delegate assembly. Sad that the RTC people became shapeshifters. Yeah. I agree with you. Fisher stabbed the retirees in the back. He forgot how he got where he is. He's a piece of garbage. And you know the provider network can be in reality a ghost network, be rare. So we know that doctors can always come in and out. I mean, that's on every plan that could happen. It can even happen on Medicare. Doctors decide to drop. But if you don't tell them where you're starting and you don't keep it updated, why are you not telling us at all? Tell us, because then you put our minds at ease and we would support you. That's the way it's supposed to work. Transparency. Let's see. How does the new plan affect Medicare? Janice, I've been saying this for almost a month now. This plan has nothing to do with Medicare. I'm working on my school first as well as the nurses. Yay, Noreen. Too many retirees think this fight is over. I try to explain it's not. So Paula, send them one of our emails. I think in the last email, I actually said that in the first paragraph. This fight's not over. We go back to court. I gave you a court update. And if you don't have, if they're not opening your emails, give me their email addresses. I'll put them on. Send that to me because that would be helpful. But send them the newsletter to show that one newsletter I did, like I think it was last week or this past week. I literally put one out that said the court update. I'll do it again this weekend. I'm really trying to take tomorrow off. I have a car show I want to go to, and I haven't taken my bus out in forever. Any word on Marte's chances? No, I can't tell you Marte's chance of getting speakership. That doesn't happen until January, Gerald. It's a work in progress. This does not affect senior care. So James Davis abstains. Why is that better than no thanks? Because there's a lot of unions that don't agree with the voting of the MLC. They don't have to vote no. They can abstain. An abstention is like not voting. It's still a no. It's not a vote. He's not recognizing that this body is voting this way because they don't have enough information. Every union president is able to either vote no, abstain, or vote yes. That's his choice. What if the city and the MLC can't get this healthcare plan passed? That saves them $1 billion if they were to look to go after retirees and force us into the MA for money. So, Gerald, that's an option. They can do that as well. But you would hope that the union leaders would have a pair of balls and stop this from happening. We still have our court case pending that we would be able to fight that again. That's still not going anywhere. And of course, Henry Garrido was saying that they're probably going to rebid senior care as well. But there was an email circulating before with a retired person from the UFT stating that he would just support yes to support this plan because it doesn't really impact him as a Medicare retiree. It affects the active workers and the non-Medicare retirees. That's wrong. If you know that this plan could potentially hurt people, you should want to make sure, like we said for us, that you look for those answers. Why? Because if I didn't push to get these answers, and then I just said, yeah, this looks great. I mean, great blue, beautiful slide presentation. Ooh, glitter, rainbows, bigger network. Yay, us. And I'm not asking you these hard questions. Then what happens when they don't meet the $1 billion and they decide to hit everyone with a $50 copay for every service or for every provider, like they're hitting us, that you're walking out of the doctor's office paying $60? We're literally funding them at this point. So where do you think that's coming from? And if I don't ask those questions now and you get hit with those costs later as a non-Medicare retiree or an active worker who becomes a retiree, you're going to hit me over the head for not asking the question. Why didn't you know this before? You said the plan was great. Well, you're going to say something because you're not going to be happy that I supported something that eventually ended up hurting you. Shouldn't I ask the questions first to make sure that you're going to be protected? So if I was a union leader, I would want to make sure that you have those answers now so that they don't get beat up later. And chances are they'll probably be retired by the time that union leader could potentially be retired. Malcolm Mulgrew could retire tomorrow, and so could Henry Garrido. And then you're going to get hit with extra charges or tiering potentially in 2027 or 2028. Then what? They're going to say, oh, look, I didn't do it. It was Mulgrew that did it. I didn't do it. It was Garrido that did it. I would rather make sure that they're asking the questions now. I'm sorry that I have to be a pain in their ass, but if they asked these questions today and got the answers and showed it us in writing, well, then we would support them. I shouldn't have to keep asking. That makes sense. It should be the path of least resistance. Show us the answers. Tiering means you go to a city hospital for free. Wow, a city hospital. He crazy. Who would go? Again, those who can't pay. It's racist, etc., of course. Katie, Tier 1, health and hospitals, ACPNY is free. The city steers you here. Yes, that's the guide. Tier 2, other in-network hospitals, small fixed copays insurance, just like what we already had. Tier 3 is out-of-network, high costs and deductibles. Absolutely. Guessing Mulgrew can't settle down in retirement after he dismantles all of our healthcare plans. He'll have the money to stay above the fray. Well, absolutely. We've been saying this for a while. We already know that Medicare eligible retirees live in areas outside the New York State area where is only one hospital and it doesn't accept Medicare Advantage plans. My guess is that many of these same hospitals won't accept the new United PPO for patients in other states. I remember the complaints from Medicare eligible retirees from Cape Cod and West Coast Florida, many areas. And we won't know that unless they're able to see the network. So I have a problem with this. The only fair and simple solution to our healthcare plan is to change all healthcare benefits for newly retired hirees as of 2026. At least new workers would know what they're getting into. So, Joe, I prefer to take a position that I choose not to sell out the unborn. I think this is a bad idea. I don't agree with selling out anybody. If I was a strong union leader and had the courage to make coalitions with other strong union leaders or build them up, I would tell them we shouldn't be tiering our healthcare where older folks have or more vested retire employees have better healthcare than those who are not. We all have the same lungs and hearts and brains and all these other things. We should all have the same health benefits. If they want to change a plan or change a cost structure, that should be negotiated. I don't like reducing the benefits because what does that do, Joe? If you reduce a benefit for a future employee, you are diminishing their benefit like they did to Tier 6. That would then create a situation where you will have people not wanting to take a city job because the benefits and the pay suck. I think that's a bad idea. Let's see. That's because the original resolution for getting member approval was watered down. Over 12,000 UFT members signed a petition saying that all members should vote on healthcare changes and receive full disclosure. But Bennett, Jonathan, and the RA and company watered it down and gave unprecedented authority to vote to ratify this healthcare MOA. The Delegate Assembly only recommends our other contracts, not ratify. And that's chilling, Dan, because there, in fact, lies. And still, I don't have an answer. Did anyone ask the union today in the UFT if Mulgrew is going to be casting a vote on Monday morning at the steering committee meeting on this plan because he doesn't have the approval of the Delegate Assembly until 4 p.m. And the steering meeting doesn't take place until 9. So if the steering meeting is at 9 and the DA doesn't start till 4 p.m., he's already lost his opportunity to vote. And he can't make his vote contingent upon something else. He has to vote at 9. And if they do that, that's playing a game. I will skywrite that. They sold us out with Tier 6. Yes, they absolutely did. And that should never have happened. Never. And now they're struggling to get it back. So if you sell out and water down their benefits now, you're not going to get it back. This is why we said don't move people into Medicare Advantage. You'll never get Medicare back. Don't do it. So, all right, guys. That wasn't too bad. 1 hour and 14 minutes so far. And we had a guest. How can we evade the $1 billion give back? You can't, because the Municipal Labor Committee led by, I'm going to start saying, Alan Klinger, Michael Mulgrew, Henry Garrido, and Harry Nespoli agreed to save the $1 billion. Remember why they did that? When we had our injunction because they were violating the law in Campion in 21, we got that injunction in 22. They had an MLC meeting. And by this point, by the end of 22, September of 2022, Alan Klinger told the Municipal Labor Committee that they had to, the city felt it was owed $600 million or $1 billion. They wanted their money. How are they going to get it? So Alan Klinger told the Municipal Labor Committee, the way that the city will eat the $1 billion that it's owed is to change Administrative Code 12-126. Remember that fight we had on January 9th? Intro 874. Change the administrative code, force those retirees into another Aetna Medicare Advantage plan, and do an RFP for active workers and non-Medicare retirees and agree to save 10%. And they voted on it in a crazy, that video is up online. You can go listen to it. That's how they did it. They didn't want to take a roll call vote, and they just said, and does anyone not support this? Does anyone who supports this? I'll say aye. And then you had a whole bunch of people you couldn't even tell, unless you knew their voices, who was saying that they supported that. And that's how they did it. And I think that was either at the request of Sean Francois or Anthony Wells. And that's how they took the vote. It is literally on our YouTube channel. $1 billion a year. $1 billion, save $1 billion. I thought Mom Donnie was going to change a tier. A mayor cannot change a state pension. The mayor can only give a support or home rule to the state. Any pension changes have to be done by the state. If the state wanted to, Mom Donnie is right now in the state. He could have led some amazing coalition to change this tier 6. That hasn't happened. And he's not on our state bill to protect our health care. That would have protected Scott and retirees around New York State. He's not on that bill either. Cuomo sold us out. I don't know how Cuomo sold us out. How did Cuomo sell you out? Because right now, only him and Curtis Lee are the only 2 mayoral candidates that are supporting us. Hate to tell you that. Oh, tier 6. Gotcha. Remember, it was supported by the unions. While it was done under Cuomo, it was supported by the unions. According to the latest talking points, he would break a resolution on grounds maybe be fired. Yeah. While now the stabilization fund is bankrupt, the city and the MLC owe money to Express Scripts and PICA and not meeting obligations with the 9/11 orphans and widows. That is 100% true. Absolutely true. This is true. This is true because the stabilization fund was giving money to mostly the uniform unions to pay for the widows and children's health plan. That was happening. Right now, there's no money in that. And the city is saying after November, they're not paying it. And the unions had to fight to get them to pay up until November. You don't see Michael Mulgrew doing that. I bet you don't see Henry Garrido doing that. You don't see any of the civilian unions doing that. This was mostly a uniform force that's been doing this. PICA is also an active worker non-Medicare retiree benefit. And that was also partially funded. Injectables and chemotherapy was also funded out of stabilization. And there's no money in that to pay for that either. It was like $500 million or something. Yeah. So, Laura, please address this. Some RTC members and heads of RA are saying they'll vote yes if the plan doesn't get tabled at the DA on Monday. They say they need to represent out-of-state retirees who have crappy networks, but they don't understand that the devil's in the details. What is it that they don't see? They don't know what they don't know, Laura. Because let's just say that they take this plan because they're seeing the glitter and the sparkles. They see the fact that it would give them more doctors. But you're now tying them that this plan can be altered under this agreement. This plan could be altered without having to go back to a table because just like before, remember when I said that under the MLC agreements that they agreed that they would do certain things and then the committees had to keep coming back to decide how they would do the next thing, say the 200 million, say the 400 million, 600 million. Every year they would come back and figure out how to do that. There's no agreement attached to this that it's transparent, right? It's got to be hidden in the blacked out parts. I've already said to you in my notes that there is certain language in this agreement that they did see that says that certain network provider agreements may contain language that will conflict with this plan's design, and that they will make changes and will create potentially another tier or add more copays. Why? In order to meet the goals in which they agreed to. If they realize that the healthcare plan is spending more money than they wanted to spend because they're not meeting their benchmarks and savings, they're spending more, They will adjust the plan. Mulgrew made it sound like the MLC can't make changes without the agreement. But guess what? They sign this agreement next week. The language that's in there right now allows it to happen within the plan right now. They don't have to go back to the table. By signing this agreement, the plan changes are in this contract. The city will make those changes. He says the city will make changes with hospitals who were bad actors. He's telling you in his statement when he said last week that the city will make changes with hospitals who were bad actors. What do you think they're going to do? Mulgrew already said in that one video that I showed you guys that said, oh, we placed these big copays on hospitals, thinking that he was penalizing the hospitals. He's not penalizing the hospitals. He's penalizing you. And if you don't think he won't do it again, I have a bridge to sell you. The city will make changes with hospitals who are bad actors. I'm hearing copays and tiering. That's what I hear. They agreed to make changes in this contract to meet what they agreed that they would do in the agreement. You are approving changes to the plan right now. That language allows them to make a change to honor the commitment to save the $1 billion. And while Mulgrew says in this email here, let me see where that went. Oops. That a self-funded plan doesn't put members at risk. Where was that other question? The city pays for everything, not our members, right here. The city pays for everything, not our members. That's not going to be true if they don't meet their benchmarks. If they don't meet the benchmarks, you are going to pay, because guess what? The city pays for everything, not our members. If the city isn't seeing the savings, you are going to pay. He'd said he'd raise the city MD urgent care to $400 if he could at the DA. Do you see what I'm saying? If he's telling you every time you go to urgent care, you're paying $400. He said that at a delegate assembly meeting? Oh my goodness. Taxpayers pay for it. Many members are taxpayers. Well, yeah. Copays come out of your pocket. Copays come out of your pocket. Raising urgent care to $400 comes out of your pocket. And if he's not giving you a raise that meets up with the demand of what he's charging you for healthcare, that's ridiculous. Doesn't the stabilization fund feed the welfare fund? It does in part, but the unions will not be getting that stabilization fund money for their welfare funds because they misuse the stabilization fund. And deductibles. Yes, but that's still a co-insurance, right? So deductibles, copay, co-insurance, absolutely. 100%, Daniel, you're absolutely right. And the deductibles in this plan are sketchy. This is why we keep asking for what are the benchmarks. Show us how the plan will function if it doesn't meet what you're guaranteeing it will meet. Don't just tell me, show me. 69% of active UFT workers live in New York City. We actually did a numbers on this because we have the data of how many members. I just don't have it handy, and I could actually break it down by borough. I can tell you how many of your members live in what boroughs and citywide, and actually probably in every part of the country. So that's all I have today. I want to thank the active union members that are listening to this message, who are learning. I also want to tell you that there is a group of active workers and some retirees that are going to protest outside DC 37 headquarters on Tuesday. Now, DC 37's the MLC meeting is being held at DC 37 on Tuesday at 10 a.m. And there's at 125 Barclay Street by West. It's a corner. And for those of you that have been to our protest or when we went to Occupy DC 37 back in December, it's that location. It's the entrance on the Barclay Street side, right? So I don't know if enough of you get out there and it's a nice day, you can probably sit on both sides. I know a whole bunch of active workers contacted me today that they were trying to figure out how they could be there at 10 because they weren't happy with what they were hearing and they were being blown off by their union leadership in the district council, and they wanted to find a way to protest. So 10 a.m. is a work day for many, 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 many people. For those of you that are not working, all I can say is if you can get out there, please get out there. 10 a.m. The meeting starts at 10, so I'd say be out there by like 9 or 8:30, 9 o'clock, and try to cover both sides. I will not be in the city, so if you guys do this, you want to be polite. You know, union presidents will be showing up. You want to let them know that you want them to table this vote and get the information in which we're asking them. So unfortunately, some of the unions didn't even know that they on this steering committee that they could vote this down. I don't know why they think they had to rubber stamp everything, but this just seems to be the status quo. The unions that are on that blue stationery can vote this thing to vote to table this plan. They can vote to table it till they get more information, and that's what what should do. We want to see a good plan for our under 65 retirees, our non-Medicare retirees living around the country. They need to have access to doctors and hospitals. It needs to be done right? And if this plan truly is good today, it'll be good in like a couple of weeks when you decide to give us all the questions, the answers to the questions that we're asking, and the documents that we're asking for. Otherwise, they're probably just going to see a repeat of what they've had for the last 4.5 years because we're not going away. And this time, we have unions on our side, which I'm really happy about. So hang in there, everyone. All it takes is patience and money. Patience and money. Laura, you will probably, if I can get enough people that are messaging me that they're truly going, I will let you guys know that they're definitely going out there. But I'm hearing from what messages I'm getting today, and even while I'm talking, I'm being told that they are going. I'm just waiting to get confirmation of that because I'd hate to see just 10 of you go out there. But whatever you guys do, if you do want to go out and make sure, it's one of those things that's informational. You want to talk to them and tell them, listen, please make sure you table this. Please get the information, get the full contract, bring it back to your union boards and your members and your union lawyers. Look through this, make sure you get the questions, the answers. Don't buy that this whole thing is just, proprietary corporate information. There's more information there. So William, yes, I'll put the thermometer up. We raised $81,051.27 to date. We still have to get to 250, and we got to keep this going. Remember, we're moving into fall, and then we have Christmas. November, December is when donations drop, and then they typically drop through March. So we're going to be moving into a slower period for the next 6 months, which is why we want to keep pushing this to keep bringing in more donations, is because we know once Christmas comes, people don't typically want to donate a lot of money to a fight because they're paying off credit card bills or traveling or whatever. So keep that in mind. Yes. Thank you, Laura. Donate, share all this information, saves lives. Go to our website, NYC Retire. See, it says down at the bottom, donate to NYC Retirees at our website. Create that account. It's at the bottom of all of our emails. It shares with you the information and what you need to do. So you guys have a, what is that? I can ask UFT lawyers what they're doing. They're not really doing anything. They're just going along with the flow. Remember who they work for. Yes, Ellen, we have actives donating to us. Absolutely. So everybody, you have a great weekend, and I will be hanging out tomorrow at the car show downtown with my bus. I'm going to try to enjoy myself. You guys enjoy yourself too, and I'll be back to work on Sunday. You guys have a great weekend, and thanks for listening. Ciao.
Don't speak what you don't understand. The truth is not in your command. Don't shout about what you think is fake. The decision isn't yours to make. Don't lie about the way things are. Tall tales will take you very far. Don't scoff when they say it's the end. In this life, you know you can't pretend. The days pass by, baby, set in stone. But it's not too late now for you to change your tone.